got in it just as a happenstance. What I did, I went up to the local radio station and just pulled in there and just asked them if they needed a broadcaster for high school sports. And the station manager, a guy named Dan Goodman, wanted to know my background in broadcasting, and I said I had none whatsoever. And he said, what makes you think you could do this? And I said, I just believe I could. And he said, I tell you what, this weekend, do one of the football games, get your old recorder. Back then they had cassette recorders. He said, just record about 5-10 minutes, bring it back to me. And he said, but I do need somebody for that job. So I did that. And I took it back to him and got the job. And that's how I got started into broadcasting. I believe I was about 27 years old when I got started. And my cousin, Troy, also needed a part-time job, and I had him as my color commentator, yet he had no football background whatsoever. So I literally had to teach him football while I was doing the broadcast so he could have a part-time job. But after a while, he got pretty good at it too. So we did that for a long time, and that's how we got started, literally, in doing broadcasting. I always wanted to do it. When I was small, 9-10 years old, ironically now, him and I have our own show, Gary Daring. I'd stay over at his house or he'd stay at mine in the weekend. We would tape record ourselves doing a NASCAR race because we listened to NASCAR on Sundays.
Now Isaac up in front is going to make a move. Right alongside David Pearson. Pearson's fighting back. Right side by side, or as they say in the stock cars, door handle to door handle.
And we would do a race, a make-believe race, on that tape recorder to see how we sounded on that. So it's went way back. Even back then, I was kind of interested in doing something like that, and I just really, it took about 20 years for me to get up the guts to go up there and ask them. But yeah, I've always wanted to do something like that. Shelbyville basketball, I played basketball along with my little brother. And our boys' team, when I was there, was pretty good, but our girls' team was always good. Shelbyville has won numerous state and national championships in girls' basketball. So that seemed to be the main focus of the community for years while Coach Rick Insel was here. The radio broadcast was important to the people of Bedford County, particularly the ones that couldn't get out to go to the game. Now, our games were just about sold out every night at one of the biggest gyms in the state of Tennessee for high school sports. They would pack them in there. But then when we went on the road particularly, they counted on us to do those broadcasts of those games. And I tell you, a guy that was instrumental in helping me with my broadcast was the late Lindsey Nelson, who did Notre Dame broadcasting.
11 minutes, 25 seconds remaining to be played in the third quarter. Notre Dame is leading 13-7, first and 10 for the Irish at their own 15-yard line.
I had a little show at the local radio station on Saturday mornings, and it's just a little bitty show, but I happened to have him on as a guest. He lives in Knoxville. He gave me a lot of good tips on what I should do on a broadcast, and I've taken that even to today. I've used those same fundamentals in broadcasting that he applied to me. But I kind of had an idea, since I watched many football and basketball games, of what I needed to do. So I felt fairly confident, but you never know. And yeah, nervousness was a big factor when you first start doing it. You know, after they didn't fire me the first year, I figured I must have done a fairly decent job since they've asked me back again. And I think I stayed at that radio station for 17 years and doing the play-by-play, and left there, and the other radio station, a competing AM station, hired me on after that, and I worked there for about 6 years after that. So I've done a lot of radio play-by-play. It's led to a lot of things, like having my own little bitty radio talk show here locally, here in Shelbyville. I got that. And, you know, you get to meet people, you get to meet sports personalities through that. And then as you kept going and kept doing things, other things opened up. I finally retired from doing that, and the PA announcing job was open at Shelbyville. I took that, and, you know, from that, I've been guest speakers at civic clubs. I've co-hosted a local beauty pageant. And now, you know, Gary and I have our own radio talk show on an FM station that carries out to over 160,000 households in Middle Tennessee. So, all of that was because of how I got started.
You're listening to Doug's Sports Saturday. Now, here's your host, Gary Deering, Mark Lamb, and the rest of the fellows.
Gary and I, he helped me way back in the day. He would come on and help me on my local radio show, the AM station. And then he got into the business of doing the sales marketing at a radio station. And they had a new station, 93.9 The Duck in Tullahoma, an FM station. They hired him on to do sales. And he's the one that pitched them the idea of him and I doing a sports talk show.
393-3100 if you want to give us a call this morning. How you doing, Mark Lamb?
How you doing there, Deerwood?
Everything's good, man. Everything's good.
So when he came to me and talked to me about it, I had told Gary that we needed to do something different besides just talk sports. Because, you can watch television and ESPN has sports on, or Fox Sports News, or whatever. Wherever you go, you can hear about sports. So we talk about sports, but we made it kind of a comedy type thing along with sports. And we've kept that going like that with that in mind. And I believe that's made us different from the guys, in Nashville and whatever. So I believe that's our niche.
You remember Marvin Freeman, Rudy?
I'm sorry?
You remember Marvin Freeman, the Braves?
Oh, yeah.
Starving Marvin.
Yeah, what about him?
Well, I was just asking if you remember.
That's all you got?
Good Lord.
Yeah, he's still trying to recover, apparently.
Yep, he had a stroke, all right.
Gary and I have been doing the same show for over 5 years. We have over 100,000 listeners each Saturday morning. If you sit back and thought of it that way, if we had to talk in front of 100,000 people, that would be pretty tough. But since you're doing it by radio, I'm only talking to him and he's talking to me, so that helps a lot. And just keep trying. And really, it's all about having the guts to do it. You got to have the nerve and the guts to go out and do those things.